Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Ontario Cryptids. I'm so glad you're here, and before we get started, I want to wish all my Canadian viewers a happy Thanksgiving weekend. I hope you're surrounded by good food, great company, and maybe a few spooky campfire stories of your own. This week I have 3 fascinating encounter stories to share, each one packed with mystery and intrigue from deep within the forest. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that like button, the subscribe button, and hit that notification bell so you'll never miss another upload. And if you'd like to support the channel, consider becoming a member. Members get exclusive perks like shoutouts, access to private chat rooms, and our weekly member-only hangouts. You can find all the details by clicking the join button below. Lastly, if you have an encounter of your own, we'd love to hear it. Send your stories to Ontariocryptids@gmail.com. Now sit back and relax and let us get into these incredible encounter stories. I've rarely shared this with anyone. I'm open-minded enough to believe almost anything is possible. But Bigfoot was never one of those things until May 13th, 2017 at 4:31 p.m. I was camping off-grid in Burkhead Mountains National Forest in Asheboro, North Carolina. It was raining that day, and I was 10 miles off a trail from my car in the deep wilderness. When I parked, there was no other vehicles in the lot as it was raining. I was climbing up a steep incline that was slippery with red North Carolina mud. When I looked down, I saw before me a trail of 15-inch to 20-inch humanoid footprints, reminiscent of the classic Big Feet. It came from a steep, brushy hill on my left and disappeared down through a brush on my right. Even if I did believe in Bigfoot, at the time, I thought it was just something that only happened in the Pacific Northwest. I snapped a few photos and explained it away, until that night. By dusk, I found a good camping spot and set up my tent. There's not much to do when you're alone in the woods, so I drank. Those footprints still nagged at me, but the liquor dulled my nerves. I fell asleep and suddenly woke up later that evening to what sounded like gurgling, high-pitched screaming, and moans. I had never heard anything like it. The sounds were coming from the surrounding woods, and I can tell that whatever was making it was not too far away. Although I carried a .38 and a .308 with me, the proximity of these sounds, the distance from civilization, caused me alarm. It was still drizzling, but I turned on my lantern and took down my tent very quickly and made my way back to my car in the dark. It didn't and still doesn't make sense to me. Bigfoot? Why has a body or bones never been found? But what I've come to consider is this. Perhaps Bigfoot are actually alien biological reconnaissance drones they sent down to collect samples and survey land. Maybe the aliens think this ape-like appearance, if ever seen by a person, is easier for us to understand than designing it to look like something from their world. To me, the drone theory is the only truly plausible explanation, more believable than the interdimensional idea. Though, that one's not entirely off the table either. Thoughts? My Tio is a taxi driver. I heard him tell the story to my dad when they were drinking. There's a stretch of road outside my small town that every cab driver knows about. No one talks about it unless they're a few beers deep. The road runs along the airport, no houses, just these tall trees, dense trees that swallow both sides. No streetlights either. After the last flight lands around 9 p.m., the road is dead. One driver fell asleep in his cab outside the airport waiting for a fare. He woke up at 11 p.m. to an empty parking lot. He pulled out when he spots a passenger in the middle of nowhere, nothing around for miles. Slim, long black hair spilling down her waist. She flags him down. He stops. She gets in without a word, gives an address in this flat, distant voice. He turned on the meter and starts driving. He tries small talk. Nothing. She's facing the window, completely still, hair hanging like a curtain over her face. Then the driver notices the cold. Not an AC cold, it was just a chilling cold. The kind that creeps into your bones. He turns off the AC, and it doesn't help. He keeps his eyes on the road, tells himself that he'll go home after dropping this cold passenger. But something feels off. He finds his hand shaking anxiously on the wheel. Finally, he hits a red light. He glances up at the rearview mirror. The back seat was empty. He swears he never heard a door open, never felt the car shift, but she's gone. The driver was said to be an atheist. He's not superstitious as well. His brain was scrambling for logic. Maybe she slipped out at the stop. Impossible. They were still at the edge of the city. That was the first stoplight they passed through. Maybe he imagined it. No, it was too vivid. Even though his brain kept telling him logical explanations, he didn't believe any of that. He felt it. Something got in the cab that night that was never human to begin with. Now every driver hangs a rosary on their mirror, touching it when they pass by that road. Dear friend, pleasure to meet your acquaintance. I am also originally from Ontario, Canada, namely Ottawa. I now go back and forth from Canada to New York as I'm marrying a woman here. My name is Mark. My fiancée is Lori. We had a sheer encounter in Chautauqua County, New York, September 25th, 2025, just passed. A 2-day occurrence. Our story is like this. We were hiking, just the two of us, on a quiet sunny morning on the 25th and later the 26th as a follow-up to what happened. This is a true tale, not a fabricated story for attention. I wouldn't waste your time or mine with tall tales. You also know they're real. So, hiking in the thick woods, we suddenly started hearing loud snapping sounds, not normal sounds. They were clearly the sound of large branches or perhaps smaller tree trunks breaking. We looked all around, couldn't determine what they were. Never saw, only heard. Then tree knockings. The tap-taps came. We also thought we heard footfalls, but hard to tell. Figuring we had nothing to lose, we tap-tapped back. Then they replied, tap-tap. We tapped back. They did again. We played this game of sorts for 10 or 15 or so seconds. It would stop, then repeat later for another short duration, from other directions. Humans playing pranks? Seemed unlikely. The forest went quiet. We walked, stopped, waited. More noises. Then we saw some sort of light-colored animal hiding behind the trees. Seemed to be observing us. And more taps came. It felt like 3 different directions. Like they were triangulating our spot. Seriously. We saw another being far off, hidden in the trees, a tan color. More breaking sounds. We knew it was not canines, not a bear, and not human. It felt they were extension of the woods. They saw us and knew us, so to say, but we could only get glimpses of them. After a while, being totally baffled, we continued to walk the rest of the miles, circuiting back to our car. There were barely any other cars there, and people were hiking and biking on the other side of that trail, opposite side of the road. This was near Earl Cardeau Trail, roughly. After this uncanny experience, we concluded it was Sasquatch. Part 2. The next day, the 26th, we decided to return and bring food offerings to see what we might see. Lori and I went back to the exact same spot, the same trail and same route. We brought a banana, some potatoes, and some chips. LOL, why not? We saw there were dugouts in the ground, like shallow pits, like water used to be there or something was digging for water. We saw what was clearly a huge handprint, perfect with 4 digits and a 5th opposable thumb. Unreal. We found a few of these, too big for human. Walking along, we left offerings. We told the forest that we weren't there to hurt anything and that we were gentle friends. We said truthfully that we believed in Sas'kets and that we were their friends and we would help protect the woods too, and we meant it. And again it happened. Loud singular snaps, like loud breaking of wood. We heard tapping, series of 2 taps always. We responded. They responded. Again, different positions around us. We played the tap game a while, then walked along. The forest deathly still. Then we heard them. A strange woman's voice under our voices. It seemed like gibberish, but intelligent gibberish. Non-human, but almost human. Honestly. And they only talked when we did, as if to mask their voices hiding under our voices, like a smart tactic. Clearly they knew we were there, and they wanted us to know they were there. We knew this. Then we saw a big black shadow, seemed to follow us. We took out our phones and tried to zoom in. It was blurry, but honestly looked like a gorilla-type face, dark gray on black, scary and beautiful. We couldn't believe it. We took a few, not very good photos and decided to get moving, in case they didn't want us there. They seemed to follow us a bit. We would look back, and the black one seemed to change positions, then go deathly still whenever we turned around to look. Unbelievable. Feeling a little unnerved, we decided it was time to go. We did not feel threatened, but also didn't know what might be pushing our luck. Their presence was palpable, thick, hidden. We walked on and listened, looked around periodically, and nothing else happened. Then one last funny thing happened, sort of close to the car park area, maybe half a mile or so, right literally beside the path. We saw a huge, awkward pile of scat. Really, it was too big for a human, unless it was Goliath, and too weird to be some giant dog or wolves. Our first thought was bear. Weird thing is, it had a wavy wood in it, in the poop, large wavy wood it seemed. We had no idea what could have caused it unless our big ape-like friends. Really weird scat. As if it was left as one final proof. We went back to the car shaking our heads in awe and disbelief. This is our incredible true story. Take from it what you will. As a disclaimer of sorts, I wanted to share our personal beliefs. We believe in Sasquatch, Sas'kets, long before this encounter. I've had a couple of subtle dealings with them before in Ontario and Quebec, respectively, but not as poignant as the New York encounter exactly. Subtle but raw and real. I think they are nature's guardians, ancient beings, cousins of humankind. I believe more firmly in the old tales of the Native Americans, the Australian Aborigines, and the mountain shepherds of Nepal. Those stories go way back into the centuries past, as you know. Therefore, we feel the old-timers' legends have the most credibility. Some of the First Nations creation stories, for example, are unbelievable and incredibly beautiful, sometimes scary. When it comes to Sas'kets, we believe in those old stories as truth, more so than modern scientists. Although modern science is credible, they just lack origin stories, mythicism, and paranormal possibilities. We believe in the paranormal and occult ourselves, mind you. And Sasquatch could have deep roots there. I'm sure you've heard many tales by now. I believe they are meant to remain a mystery and enigma until humanity is ready. We aren't quite ready, as a race in general. Others of us get blessed with strange but true encounters, it seems. Please share our story if you wish. It's why I wrote you. We are telling the truth. All that happened did happen. We aren't sure how interrelated it all is, but it must be. Thanks for your time. Sincerely, Mark and Lori. And that wraps up this week's episode of Ontario Cryptids. I hope you enjoyed these 3 amazing encounter stories. Each one a reminder that there's still so much mystery out there waiting to be uncovered. Once again, happy Thanksgiving to all my Canadian viewers. I hope you're having a wonderful long weekend filled with family, laughter, and maybe a little adventure. A big thank you to all my current channel members for your ongoing support. It truly means the world to me. And if you're not a member yet, consider joining to unlock exclusive perks like weekly members chat and priority replies. Also, don't forget to hit that like button, the subscribe button, and hit that notification bell so you'll never miss another upload. And of course, if you have an encounter of your own, we'd love to hear it. Send your stories to OntarioCryptids@gmail.com. I'll see you all next week for more strange and mysterious tales from Ontario Cryptids.